So,
Okay, should we start?
Okay.
yeah, someone want to ask the first question?
Okay. So the first question is, what is the obvious message of the speaker in the poem? Hope you all read the poem, right? The
Yep.
Do Not Weep Wars. Okay.
Yes.
I think the main message. Well, I don't know because the poem has many messages, but the this says there's an obvious message. I think the obvious message is that, like she's telling the wives or like the spouses of those who served in the military that don't worry, they didn't die in vain for war is kind. But I don't get what she means by war is kind. Like I know war is supposed to be like, I mean, it's not a good thing, but it's supposed to be like this glorious thing for whatever reason. But I think she's trying to declare to them like, oh, don't worry about it. But that's just me.
Okay. So, I guess summarize that you just said again. What would you say is the obvious message of the speaker?
Obvious message from the speaker is that they didn't die in vain. Put it that way.
He didn't what? Sorry, I didn't even hear what you said.
They didn't die in vain.
Oh, they didn't die in vain. Okay, I agree with that. See that? So that
Mm,
that war um is
um,
hard. It's sad, but they are doing it for a purpose. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
we're doing the obvious first message. What word is
Trying,
coming?
I'm trying to pull the poem back up. Okay.
Uh,
It is interesting. Because it's saying "Do not weep, war is kind." That's an interesting phrase because I mean, in war, obviously, lots of people die. It is something that's sad. It's something to weep about. Um, why do you guys think that they are saying that? What would you guys say?
hmm.
I don't know. When I was reading it, it was more when, like when you have those words, kind. So if you look at the first verse, so he's describing, uh, because someone who lost the love of her life, I guess, he said at the end, word is kind, like a sarcastic way to say, um, at the war, like the woman is crying for her lover, but the author put word is kind right after that. Sorry, but word is kind. It's kind of like he's trying to criticize the war, if that makes sense. When I was reading it, because the first one is the lover, and then the second one is a child who lost his father. One is
And the last one
uh,
is a mother, I think.
it's a mother, yes.
Yeah.
And then between those three verses, the two long verse, he just the author is just describing the war, the battlefield, like the the corpse on the ground, and then the scene, like what's going on. That's really what I thinking of it. So for me, War is Kind is more. I don't know how to say that, but the obvious message would be those who are working in war and seeing the fact that we're going war. I guess I don't know.
Mm.
See.
I guess for myself, the obvious message of the poem, I think it's the message for it's like the message for the relatives, I guess, like for the soldiers relatives, like when it says like for words is kind. I really think it's kind of like just to um I guess to it's like a message of comfort. It's like to comfort them that that there is the bright side of war, I think.
Mm.
I see that it would be like a message to loved ones or relatives of to kind of help them feel better and know that what they did was
Mm-hmm.
for a purpose. I can see that. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like you guys said in the first stanza, it talks about let's see what it says. I'll pull it up right here. It says, "Do not weep, maiden, for war is kind, because the lover threw wild hands toward the sky, and the affrighted steed ran alone. Do not weep, war is kind." Um, that I guess the message of that is kind of the frustration that that lover had to go through of losing someone. I don't know if you guys have ever gone through losing someone that you care deeply about, but
Yeah.
you want to do anything and everything that you can. And her, like it says right here, threw wild hands toward the sky. That kind of shows the frustration that she felt, just that it's the last thing in the world that you want to have happen, but it happened and that person's gone. And that kind of shows for sure her frustration, what she was feeling, what she was going through. Um, so yeah, I guess that really stands out. Just that there is that pain that comes from war and loss, but it's kind of ironic, I guess, that it says at the end of that, "Do not weep, war is kind."
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a message of comfort in a way, I guess.
Yeah, I could see that.
How um she talks about, like you explained that, and the affrighted steed ran on alone, do not weep, or the one before that, because your lover threw wild hands towards the sky. And the affrighted steed ran alone, do not weep, war is kind. Um, and then the second one is of the do not weep, babe, for the child is because your father tumbled in the yellow trenches, raged at his breast, gulped and died. Do not weep, war is kind. So the first one is like, um it's like in this hard times of you losing your significant other, I would assume, don't worry, for he he didn't die in vain, like I said earlier. And then the second one is like, um your father served an uh honorable enlistment, and that you shouldn't be um ashamed that he died for a purpose, I guess. And so you should be comforted that way. I don't know.
Mhm.
That was a long question. Okay. I move on to the second question.
Or no.
Okay.
I agree with you guys.
Okay.
Anything else anyone wants to say for that one?
I got
All
nothing.
right.
Now, if you
So
can
the
do
second,
the second question.
Okay. Second question is: are there any details that make us doubt that message? Sorry, let me read that again. Are there any details that make us doubt
Well,
that
I think
message?
it would be kind.
yeah, the do
Yes.
not weep, the war is kind.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
it's
like the whole
for those
details.
one.
Oh, sorry. What were you gonna say?
Just those words, like any details that make us like. They were describing how a lover, a dad, or son the word, but they say, "Don't worry, the word is kind." So that would be
I think
more doubting the main obvious message.
what I don't know what I'm getting from this question is like, so you know how after every do not weep, do not weep, do not weep, there's that little section of description like horse booming drums with a regiment, light souls who thirst for fight. These men who were born to drill and die, and unexplained glory flies above them. Great is the battle god, great and his kingdom, and filed or 1,000 corpse lie.
Mm-hmm.
I think those descriptive stanzas or sections of the poem are where they make us doubt war's kind. You know what I mean? Like, how do you try and comfort somebody, get put?
Well, you can
Uh,
add those one because they say any details, so it could be both.
yeah, it's like how do you tell somebody war is
Yeah.
kind, and then just blurt out all the gruesome things that happen in war? Like, I don't think so.
I agree with that. I think um, exactly what you're saying, Fona, is very true because um, it's describing parts and details of what war really is like. And then it says, do not weep, the war is kind.
Yeah.
So that's definitely contradicting what they're describing and everything they're talking about. So that would definitely make us, like it says in the question, doubt the message of the poem. It's kind of interesting how it's in there because it doesn't really go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's talking about how brutal war is, and then it says, "Do not weep, the war is kind," but it doesn't really allow
It's kind
much.
of like
It doesn't give much comfort.
yes.
It doesn't really back that statement.
No, not at all.
It's almost like it was like kind of sarcastic in a way.
Yeah,
Just those words were this kind
or
that yeah.
like a type of irony or something.
Yeah, yeah, kind of type of irony word this kind after describing the situation before.
Yeah,
Especially when you have the verse 2 and verse 4, there is describing how, like, how the scene, the battlefield, the conditions, how they have to fight, and then
I love how both
yeah,
both of those stanzas end with a field where 1,000 corpse lie.
yeah. So there's like body everywhere. So
Yeah. So like how I talked about before, how a poem can be translated in many ways. I think it's like, well, to me when I read that line, it was like, oh, don't worry, your loved one wasn't the only one who died in battle. It's like you're not the only one going through this
don't
struggle.
worry about one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Could
you
be that
guys are
too.
right. I mean, like, just going along with what you guys said, I think, like, I noticed that in paragraph 2 and 4, like, it's repeated, like, that, like, the statements, like, these men were born to drill and die. I think it sounds harsh in a way, like, to describe war. Like, war is already, like, a sad situation for, for loved ones, um but of course, like, if we think about it, like, these men were not only born, like, for, to drill and die. Like, it's harsh in a way, but yet the poem says, like, war is kind, so it's kind of opposite. I mean, just going along with what you guys said.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I like. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think we're good. We can do the following question.
The third.
How do the image you feel about war? Well, I think that we already answered those, like, especially the verse 2 and 6 when it's describing the wars, like, kind of like really, I don't know, it's really, the author is using the words to describe the scene. It's kind of like harsh. And then the last verse, the last sentence, a field where 1,000 corpses lie. So I don't know, like that image of the war, and not really like,
Well, they also give like other
I don't know.
subtle descriptive words like booming drums of the regiment, and then the next descriptive part is swift blazing flag of the regiment, eagle with crest of red and gold, and stuff like that. So that can like draw a picture of what they're kind of fighting for and how the battlefield is drawn, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how does it make you feel about war then?
Yeah.
That I guess, well, for most wars there's always a purpose you're fighting for, right? Like a lot of people say, oh, I'm fighting for my country, or I'm fighting for a better purpose, or I'm fighting for freedom, whatever. And so I guess there's always a what are you fighting for? So in this poem, I guess they're fighting for whatever their flag stands for, and um, they're fighting it to the beat of the drum, which kind of dates this poem because they don't use drums to fight in wars anymore.
Good point.
So this could be like from revolutionary times, so but I'm not sure.
Okay. How does everyone else feel about? How does it make you feel about war? What would you guys say?
I think um like, if you imagine the image of war, when people just, like, killing each other, and um and like, if I think about war, I always think about, like, how do they feel like killing another person, like, how do they feel like killing each other. And so I feel like I wonder if they have mercy for each other in a way. But yeah, I think that the war is sad in a way, but it's, yeah, like, it's just like killing each other. It's so sad for me.
Yeah, because in the poem it also says there's the statement that says lay claim to them the excellence of killing. So it's kind of saying like there is a joy in killing, I guess, others that aren't like on your side.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay.
I would say, I guess I already have a predetermined thought in my mind on war, but this definitely makes you realize kind of the pain and the suffering that goes into war. Like we talked about in the first stanza about the lover threw her wild hands towards the sky. That for me, it really just like, I guess it makes sense because um, I haven't lost anyone in my immediate family, but I've lost friends, close friends, and I know the pain of losing someone. And so I guess I can relate to that where, there's nothing you can do, and all you can do is you just want to scream and shout, and it just hurts. And so that for me paints a description in my mind of, what it's really like to, or what the people in this poem are feeling or going through. Just the pain and frustration that war causes. Um, I don't know. That for me is really descriptive, and it just paints a picture in my mind. So I guess that would be my comments on that question.
Yeah. No. Totally.
It's a good one.
Okay.
Oh, I was just about to ask if Kahanu's camera was on because it was you're like blank this whole time for me, but I don't know if that was just for me or everybody else too.
No, hers is on for me.
Oh,
I can see her.
okay.
Cool. Okay.
No, but I totally agree with that weeping thing because well, when we were talking about how like you love somebody in troubled times or in war and stuff like that. Um, Now it wasn't. This story came to my mind. Well, it's kind of close related to me because I had a first cousin that he was on this mission in California, and so when he went on his mission, his mother was diagnosed with a late stage in breast cancer, and
Mhm.
she didn't want to tell him, and she didn't want him to come back from his mission. So she just kept telling him, "Oh, I'm okay. I'm gonna be fine. I'll wait for you when you come home." And so, and then I don't know who told my cousin, but he got word that like his mother was not good or that like she's gonna die or not. And so at that point, like, what do you do? Do you obey your parents and stay on your mission, or do you come home? And then so what he ended up doing was staying on the mission, but that's it's like, what do you do? You're on your mission and you're not home for like the passing of your mother or whatnot. So it's like, ooh. So I could tell like how like don't worry for, well, we understand that there is, as members of the church, we understand that there is a bigger plan than just earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
But but people like who are in war, who majority of them may not be members, um, this may be a hard fact that you just lost somebody you loved in war, but you shouldn't weep because um, they didn't. They died for a purpose, I guess. Sorry, that was like a total off the subject, but that's okay.
I see what you're saying.
Oh, it's a good one.
Okay,
I
next
don't know. It's
question.
sometimes be really hard for the missionaries that lost someone during their
Or
mission.
other way around, where the family loses their child on a mission.
Two.
Yeah.
Which question are we in?
We are
What
on
is
the
the
last
next?
question. Oh, second
On
to the
the
last
last
question.
question?
No, we're on the second to the last question.
Oh,
Are the images of kindness or unkindness? So, are the images kind or unkind?
Say unkindness. Like
I would
how
agree.
those scenes are described
I
the
would totally
poem.
agree.
It's kind of like, okay, what's going on? It's not like when you read that, you're not really it's not really describing in a good way. More um, that's how the word is, like with all the bodies on the floor, and then the mother all crying and everything. So I would be
Hello?
Huh?
Kahano, did she just cut out?
hello.
I think she's
Oh,
done.
oh. Oh, you're done. I don't know.
So I think we
Yeah,
all
she's done.
Okay. I
I think
thought
we
she
all
was.
agree that it's definitely a message of or an image of unkindness because it describes what war can be like and how it can be brutal and hard. So does everyone agree with that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Any other comments on that?
Nope.
Okay. So the
No.
last question. What does all this tell us about the poem's attitude or tone towards war?
That war is kind, yet it is very disturbing. I don't know. I feel.
What did Ron
Uh,
ironic and devastated when you read something like that?
Can you say that
And
again?
it's more like
Will
I
you
would
say
say it
that
would be
again?
I say I say that it would be more. I mean, the tone of the say more like um, a type of irony and or kind of devastated for the mom, the lover, or even the in that way for me. It would be that tone, like really sad, but ironic at the same time.
yeah, I totally agree. Like, this is just like the last poem. How they talked about, oh, I ate your plums, but don't worry about it. They were so good and whatever. Just like this is just like this poem. How they said, oh, your loved ones died, but they
Don't
didn't die
weep.
in vain. Don't weep about it. But all this happened during war. Like what? That's what I think.
Yeah, you're right. Thoughts?
Just to go along with what you guys discussed, I think the attitude of the poem towards like war, I think it makes war seems like a good thing in a way. Like it says the war is kind, so it makes it seems like a good thing when it's really not. Um, but I think that's the poem's attitude towards like
Yeah,
the image of war.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, totally agree. Like it in a way like glorifies war. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I say yes.
No.
Mm.
Okay, any other comments? Hello?
Sorry, I'm just typing.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
I agree. I think it's a little two-sided. Um, I'm thinking maybe it could be someone that is trying to convince themselves that war is maybe not such a bad thing, because I think they're stating clearly that, I mean, in great detail, what war entails, everything about war and how sad and how hard it can be.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think when it says at the end of the lines, um, do not weep, for war is kind, I think it could possibly be someone trying to convince themselves, someone who's passed through all those things. They're trying to convince themselves, maybe there is a purpose, maybe they didn't die in vain, but it's something to, um, I don't know, make it a little bit easier. The whole situation where they have to deal with losing loved ones and everything. I think by them saying, don't weep, the war is kind, I think it could be them in an effort to, I don't know,
Comfort
find
themselves.
some, comfort themselves and find some closure, maybe.
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah, I
totally
think that,
agree with that.
yeah, I think it's so true. Like if that was me like going through this like it's so hard to lose someone, I think I would use that phrase to to convince myself that what can be like it can be like that, like you can be proud of someone who fight for a country or something like that. So like you can use that phrase just to give you some comfort that just to see war from the bright side, I guess.
Yeah, it's like imagine yourself like you just lost somebody from war, and this one person is all three: the parent, the loved one, and the child, or whatever.
Mhm.
And they're writing this note, and they're kind of like psyching themselves out that, oh, don't worry about it, everything will be okay. They war is good, and they didn't die for uh
Nothing.
not yeah, didn't die for nothing.
Mm,
Oh, that is a very good point that Brady brought up.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other comments about all that?
No, not from me.
Did you reach one page?
Yeah, I'm at one page.
Oh, perfect. So our next discussion is on Thursday.
Okay, we can do it early, like 6.
Yeah, that's fine with me. Oh,
Oh, actually, for me, I'll be working like every day, like around that time. I work from 2 to 7, so I'll be free other than those times.
Should
Sorry,
we try and do 8 o'clock?
Oh,
I can
this
do 8 o'clock.
this
Does that work for everybody?
Thursday. This Thursday, I cannot do 8 o'clock. Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay. Later?
I can later, maybe not, or we can do it tomorrow, the 23rd. Just start it in early, but that's up to you guys. Cause Thursday, I I am booked all day. I'm helping some family members um, with some stuff that night.
okay then.
Okay, I'm up for whatever, whenever works best for everyone. I guess we could just message about
Whew.
it.
Hmm? Just sorry,
We could just
say that
message
again.
about it on Facebook or Google Hangout.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.